It's a lovely 23 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogunyusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makine. It's 26 degrees here in Lagos. And today is the 30th day in the month of July 2025. You're welcome to the program. Marco, it's quite a lineup we have today. Quite a number of people haven't quite gotten over the fact that the way the federal government, the president in particular, celebrated the Super Falcons on their win, and to also imagine that all the way in the United Kingdom, in England in particular, it was a Nigerian, Burna Boy, that celebrated with their own girls for their own victories. Irony, isn't it?
Big irony indeed, Ayo, but I think that whatever it is that we've done for our girls, we haven't done too much. I think the prayer right now is that the promises that have been made to them be manifested as quickly as possible. We do not want a situation whereby, as Mr. Fasade said yesterday, they're old and gray before they begin to reap the promises that we made to them while they were still quite young and agile.
Well, interestingly, there are some people who say the president is a spender. Consequently, it won't take any time. I guess time will tell for us to take on that. But you know, the conversations this morning will begin here in our studio. We have with us Mr. Malcolm Omirobo, who is a legal practitioner, to go through some of the events that are making the rounds with us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Omirobo.
Thank you for having me.
One of the troubling things making the rounds right now is this whole, it's like we are playing back 1983. The Ghana must go presidential order of 1983 seems to be coming back, or maybe it's even earlier than that. Now it's the Ghanaians that are protesting that Nigerians must go. Of course, the federal government through the Diaspora Commission has responded that, look, don't paint us all with the same brush. And it's also cheerful to know that it's not the government of Ghana that is saying that the Nigerians must go. But what do you make of all that's happening right now?
Well, I would first of all like to say that historically, it's not starting today. Ghana started this in 1963. Thereabout, yes. There was Nigeria must go. At a point, Nigerians were deported from Ghana. I have some family members who lost their houses in the process. Or I think they were forced to sell their houses to come back to Nigeria. That was in 1963. So in 1983, under General Muhammadu Buhari's Idiagbo regime, Nigeria laid a return march and asked the Ghanaians to go. Close to 1 million Ghanaians were deported from Nigeria then, because then Ghana was going through real economic crisis. In fact, they flooded Nigerians, prostitutes, shoemakers, barbers, everything. So it was a big blow for them. They saw Nigeria as a hope for them. You know, there's this popular saying when the Ghanaian man say, geisha pa, like saying that there's so much geisha in Nigeria. You know, we had so much food and everything. So for us to ask them to go back, then we also were facing what Chagari was calling austerity measure. So Nigeria asked them to go. So I think that grudge is still there. As for this current situation, it's a very sad situation because it's smoke-balling into xenophobia, or what do you call it, hate for foreigners. That's the way I see it, because like in your words, we have said they should not paint all of us with one brush, and that is true. They are bad Nigerians, they are very good Nigerians, as far as I'm concerned. I think this matter needs to be handled by the appropriate authorities so that it doesn't go out of hand. It's a shame that Africans should be behaving like this when we are supposed to be uniting. We are talking about a United States of Africa. How are we going to achieve this? How are we going to achieve a common economy? How are we going to achieve a common currency? How are we going to achieve a common military force? How are we going to fight against colonial mentality? It's a sad situation. We need to handle this as soon as possible.
So what kind of diplomatic intervention would you be considering? The Diaspora Commission has come out to say, you know, that Nigeria should remain calm and all of that. And all of the conversations, it's not today, just as you know. I mean, we've been hearing this back and forth about Nigerians in Ghana for a while, and even Ghanaians in Nigeria as well, and, you know, all that. There was a time it was the South Africans and Ghanaians and all. Interestingly, none of these has gotten the attention of the governments. I mean, has risen to the level of each of the governments to the point that they will now be having a spat among themselves. So it's a thing among citizens. What do you think could have occasioned that?
First and foremost, both governments need to sit down with the necessary, well, I say, officials. The diplomats should sit down and meet. It should be done very urgently to protect lives and property before it goes out of hands. It's not enough sitting down like in the office, air-conditioned office, drinking coffee and talking. No, they have to go there. The Nigerian commission there, and that agency you mentioned, the Nigerian commission, that should go down there and see that the lives of Nigerians and their properties are being protected before it goes out of hands. Then they should try and resolve the issue. I think sometimes many Nigerians don't have this intelligent, well, I say, how do I call it? They don't control their intelligence. They don't have intelligent control, mentality, or emotional control over things. For instance, I think one of the reasons why the Ghanaians are protesting, you know, Nigerians are oppressive. I mean, when I mean oppressive, they are really oppressive. When I mean, it may not be in negative form. See, even in America, we have white men cleaning Nigerian toilets and learning their...
They get paid,
yeah, they pay them. Nigerians drive the best cars. We work hard. We are unique. That is the truth. Anywhere we go, even the white man knows that. There's only a Nigerian man that gives you a handshake and look at you, a white man, eyeball to eyeball, and say, what's happening? You know, but other Africans, they are so shy, and you know. So Nigerians are seen as very strong competitors all over the world. They are seen as hardworking. They are living the best life over there. And the indigenes or their hosts sometimes are far, far behind them in practically everything, like in South Africa, Kenya, and all that. Even Ghana, they complain, oh, the Nigerian man taking our women away and all that, you know. So, but what I'm trying to say is that Nigerians also should try and should try and be humble and respect our host country or host community. One of the things that sparked up this thing, I think, is the installation of an Igbo traditional ruler in Ghana. And they said the man is controlling the market and controlling a lot of things, so they are not happy. So all these things they need to talk to Nigerians, not only in Ghana, in Kenya, everywhere, to slow down and be humble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there will be questions as to whether or not they broke any laws, you know, doing that.
They don't need. We are human beings. They are human beings. For instance, you come to Lagos and say Lagos is no man's land, it belongs to... You have to be sensible enough to know you're talking to your host. You talk to your host respectfully. You don't rub it on their face, even though you are buying their houses, you are taking their women lawfully. You don't need to go there and say, the law backs me. No, we are human beings. You know, the law says you should not take the laws into your hands. But we're talking about the country, we're talking about ethnophobia. Okay. Before you know, people are dead. So what I'm saying is that we should be humble. We should not arrogate too much to ourselves. We should not be arrogant. That's what I'm saying on our own part. Because you said it has to do with even the individuals now, the individual life. So with your host, you're not the owner of Ghana. You're not the owner of Kenya. You're not the owner of South Africa. When you come there, you just mellow, and you know. That's my take.
There's this other, you know, issue that's been on for a while, but it seems now that the state government is really taking the bull by the horn, so to speak. The Edo state government has come up with a law, a secret court and similar activities prohibition bill, introducing harsh penalties for all with the objective of declaring a total war on cultists and kidnappers and warning them that any building or anything linked to criminal groups will be demolished. What is your take on that one?
It's a welcome development.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think it's a little too high-handed?
We need it sometimes in society. I really don't like the governor's style. His style doesn't cut eyes with me. But on this one, I say yes. You know, the other time, kind of ban, or will I say, revoke the royalship of some traditional rulers in his state without following due process or without fair hearing. You know, I'm particularly not happy about that. He distilled the Wepaweno of Agenego there and all that without hearing from them. Just say, oh, because there's insecurity, so therefore you did not protect, you did not do this. When you, as a governor, you cannot even command a fly. You want the traditional ruler to do the tax of the federal government. But anyway, that's by the way. But this one, I think is very important, and it needs to be polished, very polished. The punishment is welcoming, and I think it should spread around the nation. The first, I think, if you are involved in cultism, the law is very clear. It says that for being involved at all, and you kill somebody in the process, you are going to be killed. I mean, the sentence is death sentence. If you commit an act of cultism and as a result, anybody dies, you die. That's one of the provision of that law. Another provision is that for you to be involved at all, it's 21 years in imprisonment.
But
then
you don't think that's a little high-handed?
No, it's not.
What we understand, just a second, is that there is that secret cults and similar activities prohibition law of 2025, and the kidnapping prohibition amendment law.
I'm going to get there. They are similar. They're very harsh, but we need it. Then the third one is that if your property is used in the process of cultism, you stand a chance of losing your property by confiscation, or it will be demolished, or both. So talking about the only area, the punishment is not a problem. I think every man must know that for his action, there should be consequences. So if that is at the back of the mind of every youth and every parent, that look, my son, I have trained you, please, if they catch you and they find you guilty, you are going for 21 years. And look at, if maybe the child is maybe a graduate or in the university or something like that, 21 years out of your life, you know what that means. Or alternatively, you now go for death row or life imprisonment. I think there's another part of the punishment too is life imprisonment. If you are a cultist and it did not result to death, life imprisonment. These conditions are good because they will serve as deterrent.
Are you sure?
They will.
Here is why I'm asking that question. The police has been in that state for eons, for a very, very long time. So for the governor of a state and the government of a state, the legislature and the executive, to be partnering, including the judiciary, uniting behind the governor on this particular matter, it begs the question of whether or not the police or the policing system had been effective enough as a deterrence.
Well, the law, when you talk about the law and enforcement, they are two different things. First, let there be the law. Then let's talk about enforcement.
Are you saying that we didn't have enough laws that the police could have enforced to deter these issues?
I can tell you categorically, for me, I don't know about anybody, if I hear that I will be killed if I kill another person, it's going to check me. I don't know about any other person, but I think majority, half of the people, just hearing that, Omo, if they as they do all these things, so you stab somebody, they catch you, death sentence and all that.
So you don't think that the laws had enough deterrence in them? The laws before this one?
What I'm saying here, this has a lot of bite. it has a lot of bites. And I can tell you, if the law enforcement, they are able to enforce 30% of it, it will be okay.
It goes back to the same issue
yes.
you raised about enforcement.
Yes.
If the previous laws couldn't be enforced effectively,
the question you ask,
what's the assurance that this would be any difference?
The question you ask, what's the severity of the punishment? That's what you should ask. Because I think the governor, talking about making sure that this thing is, the law is not too harsh and all that. Very important, sir. I would suggest that the government should not just stand by making the law alone. They should also publicize it. They should also liaise with the schools. They should liaise with the schools, the universities. They should publish these things. They should talk to parents and all that. And far from it, very importantly, too, the governor should not just make these laws and think it's uhuru. Because like you said, what use are the laws when they are not being enforced and all that? The governor should also engage the youth positively. Employment, keep them busy. Because they say the idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Okay.
Then again, another thing I'll suggest to also bring a balance into the whole thing. People's property should not just be confiscated or destroyed. There must be a court order before that is done. Because if that is not done, innocent people will suffer. It's not because I rent my property to a student and the student uses it for cultism activities, then my property will be destroyed. It will be unfair if the matter is not looked at properly and there's a court order obtained in that respect before my property can be confiscated or destroyed.
Okay.
Then, very importantly again, it's not just enough because somebody has been labeled a cultist. The law should take its course. The fair hearing should be given to the person, because when you talk about this issue, fair hearing should be given.
Then, all of it, as you said,
yes,
goes back to enforcement. My colleague Mokwe has a question or two for you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mokwe.
Thank you very much. It's so good to see you, Mr. Malcolm. I will not attempt to pronounce your surname without asking you first how it is pronounced, but it's so good to see you on our platform. I'd like to ask you, I mean, everyone who has been following your work as a lawyer and as an activist, you know, will have questions as to how it is that, because we saw that very bold statement you made when you were requesting the Supreme Court to be, well, I say, religion neutral, and that if they were going to be recognizing any religion whatsoever, that then they will have to recognize all religions. And you made a statement by how you were dressed to court. How much progress would you say has been made since that advocacy which you started?
Oh, beautiful. You know, the Supreme Court's judgment or decision is a law on its own, and unless it is upturned, it still stands. That is the position of the law. It has not changed, despite my protest. But I have not gone to bed. I'm still on it. Even this morning, there is a case concerning the use of hijab by the Nigerian police. It was introduced some years back, and I went to court, and we are about to adopt our written addresses in October. So we are on it. We have to keep on struggling to see that the government institutions are maintain neutral status. We also have to see that the secularity of Nigerian constitution is upheld, because it is one of the foundations of this great country. So the law still stands as it is, but I can bet you in the nearest future will follow, far from protest. Yes, I did the protest, but it has gone, it has shaken the Nigerian legal, will I say, system in terms of the law concerning religion, freedom of worship and all that. But then, I still have to work hard, and other Nigerians also have to work hard to see that we get to that Supreme Court, one way or the other, to upturn that judgment. And that's when we would have achieved our purpose. And I can bet you we are in the process. I have more than 4 cases which is bordering on that matter. So that's the update on how far we have gone in terms of that protest.
Do you have the support? How would you say the support of your fellow lawyers have been? Have there been lawyers who have shown interest in the case that you're supporting, or they think that, look, we have to now start being inclusive? I mean, there is also that debate as to inclusivity, where it is that secularity ends and how it is we are able to accommodate, you know, people of other religions or people of faith in whatever it is that we're doing.
Well, there are bodies concerning, like the NBA, they have a body that's supposed to handle that. And there are many, or let's say, lawyers who are activists. I really don't know what they are doing. But for me, it's a passion. For me, I believe it's a calling. And I'm just doing my thing. I'm enjoying myself. I'm like a child in the supermarket or a shopping mall, picking chocolates and sweets. I'm just having, I won't say having fun, but I am living my life and trying to be self-actualized. And that's the passion, to see that there's justice at all times, to see that the rule of law prevails. That's the propelling, that's what propels me. And I'm sure there are other people like me, but it's just that we've not been able to come together to put our resources and resources together to see that Nigeria is a place that we can all be proud of. So that's the challenge. I'm just on my own. I'm just so far a lone ranger doing my thing. But I welcome synergy in matters like this.
That was a really dramatic appearance you made in court. I mean, dressed how you were dressed. I'm sure that the point was made when, you know, you appeared like that. But then, you know, there are other matters which continue to concern, because I think what you're asking for essentially is neutrality,
yes,
which you believe can foster unity. And while we're working on that, on, you know, legal, professional, and educational front, we see that rear its head up in, will I say, on the political front. Yesterday, there was a meeting of northern leaders, you know, questions abound as to how it is that the North has fared under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And whilst it is, you know, fair that conversations like that happen, people have been quite concerned about how it would seem that, you know, different regions are becoming a little more vociferous with how they voice how they're being treated. And people think that whilst we can have a general conversation as to how Nigerians in general are faring, that when we start to make it a regional thing, that we could now be becoming more divisional or divided with how the conversation is held. I don't know if you have any fears or you express any concerns as to these conversations that are currently ongoing between the North, South, East, West, as the case might be, when it comes to political conversations and how a president is faring or not faring.
I have fears. I use the word fears, not even concerns. I can bet you all what is unfolding right now are like prelude to a war, or a breakdown of law and order, or social upheaval that will sweep this country if we continue like this. And I tell you, Nigeria is so great that if we, as different regions or different ethnic groups, see our ethnic groups, I'm not saying you should not say, I'm a more Yoruba man than I'm a Nigerian, or I'm a more Yoruba man than I'm a Nigerian. Yes, I agree. But like I said, you don't need to rub it you don't need to, we all owe our allegiance to, if this country must survive, we all owe our allegiance to Nigeria. Nigeria must come first. It is Nigeria first. You see, the way people are going about this thing, talking about region, now Afenifere is out supporting Tinubu because they are Yorubas. Arewa Consultative Forum is coming out to say, oh, Tinubu is marginalizing them. I don't understand. Where were the forum when Buhari was marginalizing the West or marginalizing other parts of the country? Where were they? So, you see, until we are able to put our tribe, our religious bigotry, our ethnic arrogance aside and focus on how Nigeria will be great, we are going to kill Nigeria. And I can tell you, if we kill Nigeria, we will all sit down and say, oh, in our different corners, and say, oh, we miss Nigeria. We prefer Nigeria to what is happening. Look at a great country like this. There's no part that is not blessed. There's no part that you can say you have dollars, or we are all intelligent, we are all blessed in different ways. Is the Fulani man is blessed, the Igbo man is blessed, the Hausa man is blessed. In everything we do, we are good. So we just need to understand that this country is greater than the regions. Because like I use the word fear, the way the northern elites are now coming out to say they are being marginalized. Marginalized, I mean, what are they talking? They shouldn't be talking about marginalization. They should be talking about whether Tinubu is doing the right thing. Is there productivity? Is there insecurity? Has he taken care of insecurity? Has he taken care of infrastructural problem? How is his reforms doing? Are they cosmetic, or are they going forward, or what? Those are the issues they should address, not the issue of marginalization. These so-called elites have been, they have marginalized the rest of Nigeria for over 50 decades or more. And they blame, I'm not a fan, I'm saying it, I'm not a fan of Tinubu. I'm sorry to say, I'm a very sincere and blunt person. I'm not a fan of him. But I can tell you, the problem we are facing today is caused by Buhari, a northerner. What were they doing for 8 years when Buhari destroyed this country? So they should stop talking about marginalization. They should stop talking, because their problem is that this government has blocked every loopholes where they make money, free money. They go to central bank, collect money and change it into dollars and start selling. They go to NNPCL, they make money without working. And that's the marginalization they are talking about. That's the oppression they are talking about. They shouldn't be talking about those. They should be talking about, is Tinubu performing? Is he delivering his campaign promises? Which I want to say, I don't give him a pass mark anyway. But then, these are the issues they should be talking about, and this should be the basis of their campaign. So tomorrow, if Tinubu strikes a deal with them and says, okay, come, you are complaining, you are not eating, come to the table and eat, then they will keep quiet. How would that rub off on the common northern man? So it's just selfish as far as I'm concerned. It's selfish. So they should come out with better strategy and arguments that, look, this man has failed, he's not performing, other than say he's marginalizing us. Who is he marginalizing us? Is he the common man in the north who is starving, who is hungry, or who cannot go to his farm? They can't go to their farm. So it's dangerous. What I'm saying is we are preparing for war. Don't call me a prophet of doom. I can tell you, if we don't handle 2027, Nigeria will break up. That is my take on the matter. Nigeria will break up violently, that you will not imagine. All unnecessary pent-up ethnic grievances will come up, and before you know, we start chasing shadows, and the country is destroyed. And at the end of the day, we are all done for. At the end of the day, we will regret and miss Nigeria. Quote me, if we destroy this country, we all will remain in our regions and mourn and cry and say, oh, we prefer Nigeria to having our own region. Because you need a combination of all the ethnic groups, all the region, to make Nigeria a world power, not an African power, a world power. Because we have not just the natural resources, we have the human resources. So let us not destroy this country and sit down later and say, oh, we miss Nigeria. Because we all miss Nigeria. I can tell you, if you're a Fulani man, you kill, you are a Yoruba man, you do this, Igbo must go, you seize their properties, not, Igbo must go, you seize their properties. At the end of the day, if you don't have it in your brain, what are the structures going to do for you? Nothing. They will get dilapidated. You can't manage them. Why not let these people stay here, pay you tax, everybody's happy? At the end of the day, when you destroy everything, then you will not sit down in your regions and say, I'm landlocked. Oh, I need oil. Oh, I need granite from Ondo. And you start, oh, if I knew, I can go to Ladipo and buy this. I can't buy it again. We will regret it if we destroy Nigeria.
It's a wake-up call.
Yes,
it's not
we are going
it's not something that is coming to us for the first time. And I hope everyone is listening.
I hope we manage it.
Including the electorate.
I hope we manage it.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Malcolm Omirabo is a legal practitioner, and all the best at all times.
I'm grateful. I always appreciate your establishment.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a short break, and there is more when we return.
After 4 summons, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL, Mr. Bayo Ojulari, finally appears before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts over a 210 trillion naira query.
But what this committee said, unless proven otherwise, is that NNPC should and must account for 210 trillion. The liabilities, as shown in the literature of the financial statement, is 103 trillion. While the assets side, the receivables, is 107. We want the liabilities to be accounted for.
Although his appearance, prompted by mounting pressure from lawmakers, offered some relief, the NNPCL boss failed to provide any answers, opting instead to request additional time to address the queries.
I've just been over 100 days in this job, and I can still say to you that there's so much that I'm still on my own doing to check the baseline of where things are across the company, and it's a Herculean task. Your commentary today also brings a clearer perspective to what I actually thought was the issue. I want to plead, Mr. Chairman, sir, to kindly give me some time to just dig into the perspective on the issue that you have raised.
The integrity and efficiency of the company's auditors immediately came under scrutiny as lawmakers vent their grievance over his request.
All the people who he sent once, twice, or even 3 times to represent him, they were not in a position to brief him about the issues before this committee for which they were being invited. They didn't tell him. So how can he pledge that he doesn't know what the issues are? And Nigerians are aware that the reason for your appointment was to effect a change.
Please be very, very clear and also be honest with us. Because when you say with a lot of questions here, and each time they come, even one question you can't answer, it's surprising.
The NNPCL boss is then granted an opportunity to provide a timeline.
So kind, we can give me 4 weeks. I think I will have done justice.
3 weeks will be the period within which he responds to us.
Following the 21-day ultimatum, the NNPCL boss is expected to return with a comprehensive and reconciled response in less than a month. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, that's the issue we're taking a look at this morning, and joining us to do so is Professor Wumi Iledare, who is a Professor Emeritus, Energy Studies at the Louisiana State University and also the Executive Director of the Emmanuel Eboga Foundation here in Abuja. It's good to see you, Prof. Thank you so much for coming on our program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm sure that watching this, I do not know what you made of it initially, but were you scandalized in any way?
No. I mean, I've spoken about this, and I'm not here to say the National Assembly should not do their duty. No. I think they are they have the right to demand for transparency, and they have the right to ask for questions, to ask questions that they need clarification and for public to be educated. But the only thing I don't like is sensationalism. I think they are sensationalizing the news, listening to what they are saying, instead of asking questions. And if you like, I'll make an opening remark.
By all means.
Yes. I think we have to really understand the issue at stake. And it's an audit report.
Indeed.
Yes, and the audit report has a final remark in which they identify liabilities and they identify assets. Financial accounting does not support adding the two of them together. 103
and 107.
107. They are not additive. That's just the truth of the matter. In financial...
So you're wondering how it came about this 210?
Yeah. Well, the only way you can come about 210
is to add it.
103 to plus 107. Now, you can look at the difference, which then becomes the net asset for NNPC. And then you can ask the NNPC Limited to break down the liabilities. It is account receivable, account payable. Account receivable is an asset. Account payable is we are owing someone. Someone is owing you. So you cannot add the two of them together because they are two different sides of the ledger account. Second, it is okay to say, okay, what are these liabilities? And then you can break it down to who are you going to pay? What did you buy from them? Those are the questions they should be asking, not emphasizing 210 and making it like a sensational news. Then, okay, you say, okay, are there legacy debts there which the government of Nigeria is actually owing NNPC, going back to subsidies that the federal government never reimbursed them? Are there some interagency issues that require to be broken down? I mean, those are legitimate questions. And then when you say, oh, who are the people who own NNPC? What did you sell to them? Who are you owing? What did you buy from them? Rather than talking about 210.
Yeah, but one would think, because just observing, as an observer and looking at what it is, and not getting carried away with what the National Assembly has been asking for, this is very simple and very upfront. Why would you think that Mr. Ojuleri, who has just been recently appointed, wouldn't even want to at least make this initial clarification to say, I think that there's been, there's been a misunderstanding and that we cannot even lump the two of them together. This initial breakdown and then perhaps offering more clarity on what the liabilities will be much later, rather than, it was him chickening out and saying, look, I've only just been appointed. Can you give me extra time? I'll come forth and I'll answer you.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm not a Ojuleri defender, by the way, even though it's my friend. And I'm not here to defend an NPC. Neither am I here to crucify the National Assembly. They are doing their job. But if you are working in the public space and you are dealing with Nigerian politicians, you have to be careful what you say. And I've even advised him over and over again, even though in the public space, the less you talk to the press, the better. Because your statement will be taken out of context. Even look at him asking for additional day. People are using that as being defensive.
But there's a way it comes off.
Well, again, this guy is not a politician. This guy is not a politician. And it's because, in my opinion, let's look at the issues. All right, let's look at you lumping 2017 to 2023. So people are picking liabilities in each of the year, lumping them together, and picking assets all over the year, lumping together. The way the accounting system works, a year is like an exponential function. It's not remembered. It's the last line that is taken to the other year. And so I expect the National Assembly to understand the implication of sensationalism when you have a new company that is just becoming a public enterprise. You are moving from being publicly owned to being privately owned. And you have to be careful when now you are looking at what was done when this NNPC was old NNPC. which is 2017 to 2023. No, the behavior of 2017 to 2021 is different when NNPC became NNPC Limited. So you have to not lump apple and oranges. And I don't want to sit here with you as if I'm being defensive of NNPC Limited. No, I'm defending the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. And this sensational approach to bringing a very respectable sector of the Nigerian economy into the dustbin, I can't stand it. But I'm not saying NNPC should not be interviewed. But you can't lump 2017 to 2030. You need to break it down. What happened since they became a liability company is different from what happened when they were more or less a public agency.
Well, we do know that, yes, NNPC has tried to become in fact, it says it has become a public liability company. It's not limited, it's NNPC Limited. But, you know, it will take more than rebranding and, you know, changing logo for a lot of Nigerians to be able to see. There have been complaints as to where is it listed? Oh, you know, who are the shareholders in NNPC? NNPC, yes, I remember under Mr. Melek here, he used to say that, you know, the shares were owned by Mofi, you know, which is under the Ministry of Finance. There have been calls for more transparency. For those who look from the outside inside, they say, look, this company is neither a butterfly nor a bird. We're not sure whether it is now a fully limited liability company or whether it looks like it's a morph between the two. So is it really fair for those who still hold it in suspicion, who are still not clear on how it is operating, to have the reservations that they have about it?
No, you are very correct. I mean, I'm not saying that, but Nigerian public, it's a lot easier to believe a lie than the truth. Even truth at times is very subjective. Facts is the only thing you can hold on to. And the fact today, from August 2021, is that NNPC is registered with CAMA. And that's the beginning of the process. The second thing is that there are shareholders for NNPC. Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, 50%. Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated, 50%. And there are procedures for them to sell the shares as time comes on. Yes, listen, the process is what matters. If you look at the scripture, when you say you want to know God's purpose begins with the process. And that's what you have with the NNPC. You cannot translate from being an of the federal government or a cash cow of the federal government since 1977. 1977 to 2021 is how many years? And all of a sudden, in 4 years, you want to become like Shell. It's a process. But if you continue this type of, I'm sure you remember the 28 billion saga with National Assembly. And I'm sure also you remember the probe about 16 billion with NEPA or whatever they call it. The sensationalism is not the way to make NNPC Limited become like Saudi Aramco or Total or Shell. And so it is even the political system that is making NNPC Limited to evolve. So what I'm saying is not to say National Assembly should not do their job, but they need to get technical experts to advise them, even with the type of questions they will ask. Even as a professor emeritus, from last night when Patrick called me and now, I had to do due diligence to really find out what is happening. So I'm not just to come here and speak out of something. Let the board of directors of NNPC function in an apolitical way. You can't blame Bayo for asking to give him time, because you are lumping what happens when NNPC was a wholly owned, operated, and governed NNPC Limited to when NNPC became even more transparent, even though not perfect. But it's not like what it used to be.
So for Nigerians, because the reason we've done this, the reason we're having this conversation with you is to clarify or to enlighten Nigerians. Okay. When Mr. Ojulari appears in 3 weeks, as is expected to, what would you be expecting him to come up with that will engender trust? Because a lot of Nigerians are running away with this 210 trillion naira unaccounted for. And of course, they will still have that eye that they used to look at NNPC in the past, the cash cow of the government. That will take a while for a lot of Nigerians to come to terms with that. That is no longer what it is. So for you, what would you be saying he needs to come up with to the National Assembly to make a great case to say, look, we're still in the process of transitioning, or this is where we are and we have nothing to hide?
All right. Let me ask some questions and give you answers. Is NNPC, has NNPC embezzled 210 trillion naira? The answer is no. Because you cannot add liability to assets together. So the public must not allow politicians to sensationalize them. The second question, so where does that number come from? It is likely from adding liability to asset. And it is likely because they are lumping every liability from 2017, every year, they add them together, and every year they added asset together. That's my opinion. 3 questions. Does this mean there is no cause for concern? No. Because National Assembly can say, okay, let's look at your liability. Are they genuine? But that's the purpose of the auditors. You need to read the auditor's report completely and not necessarily only the management, only their concern to the management with respect to what they need to do. 4th question, what is your advice to the public? Let's separate financial literacy from political narratives. Yes, financial literacy is not the same thing as political narratives. And I stand to say factually, at my age, you may have a political power. You must understand that Nigeria is bigger than anybody else. Let NNPC Limited begin to move to become a liability company that they are. And I encourage the management team. If the place remains political, leave. You don't need NNPC anymore. You've accomplished as a professional. Why are you going to be covering up for political stupidity? Tell it as it is. And the public will then begin to understand. It is a lot easier to believe a lie than to understand facts.
Just one little thing. Let us also add this controversy with the refineries, which is another area. For years we were told, oh, the Port Harcourt refinery is nearly on stream. It has come on stream. It's showing blue flame. It's not showing blue. All manner of things. And right now it's unclear what it is, what the state of the current refinery is. As a matter of fact, for Warri, I think the management were recently fired. All of these narratives certainly do not help the, the credibility of NNPC, does it?
I understand, and you and I, we had the conversation earlier. Optics matter. What the public perceive is important. And yes, the refinery issue is worth debating. Neither am I going to stand there and defend indefensible. But at the same time, I look at the refineries in Nigeria as an asset for a liability company. And the public cannot decide what to do with it. That's why you have board of directors who will look at their portfolio of assets and decide to rank them, finding out which one to dispose of. You cannot govern an institution from the outside. But having said that, we made a lot of mistakes as a nation. And if you like, you can combine all my conversation about the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, beginning with subsidy. It took too long. Beginning with selling crude in Naira to Dangote, and so on and so forth. Let the board of directors look at the assets with respect to NNPC refineries and decide what they want to do with it. You've already delegated the authority to them. You cannot be questioning them. And of course, the oil and gas sector needs a flag bearer. The oil and gas sector is as important as the financial sector. Nigeria tends to pay too much attention to things that do not necessarily add to the economic growth of the nation. The financial sector is an instrument. It's an instrument.
What is it supporting? That's the question we should ask.
Exactly, yes. Whereas the oil and gas sector can have a multiplier effect, more so now that we are paying attention to the midstream and downstream. Honestly, the refineries are being evaluated. And I want to believe that if they remain apolitical, and that's my concern, you cannot say because a politician appointed you, you have to be bending to his will. You don't need the job. The reason why you take the job is not the reward of the office, but the service. If you think that the refineries are no good, dispose of them. But my dear, that's what they thought of the petrochemical in Indorama, that is sold to Indorama. What is it doing today? It's contributing value. Who are the people managing it? Are they not Nigerian professionals? And that's what I'm hoping that NNPC Limited will begin to look at. Sensationalism, and you are joining them, it's not going to help you to get out of the political arena. Well, yes, we made mistakes with some of the pronouncements because people tend to say things to keep their job instead of knowing when to resign. And I've been in that position. When the place is not, I put my letter and leave.
I wish we had a little more time.
I know.
But we're out of time.
Well,
we have to thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's always a pleasure.
Wumi Iledare is Professor Emeritus, Energy Studies at the Louisiana State University and also the Executive Director of the Emmanuel Eboga Foundation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Anytime.
Well, that's where we wrap up this episode of Sunrise Daily this beautiful Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. I'm Maokwe Ogunyuso.
So many issues, to raise on this matter, Maokwe. For instance, the Dangote NNPC case that's been dismissed, or rather, one of them has pulled out of court. So many other issues, but hey, stick with Channels Television. I'm Aya Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.